You check your bank account on the first of the month and feel a quiet flicker of hope. By the 15th, that hope is gone. You didn't lose your job, you didn't face a crisis. The money just disappeared, and you have no real explanation for where it went. That feeling is not bad luck. It is not a personal failure. It is a design feature, and it has been engineered specifically for you. The modern financial world was not built to help you save. It was built to help you spend. Every card tap, every one-click checkout, every subscription that silently renews without asking, these are not conveniences. They are the result of billions of dollars of research, all aimed at one goal: separating you from your money before your brain has a chance to object. And here is what nobody tells you. Making more money does not fix this problem. It accelerates it. Pouring more water into a leaking bucket does not make you wealthier. It just speeds up the waste. The bucket still empties. You are just more exhausted at the end. The solution is not a higher income. The solution is a solid bucket. In 1904, Japan's first female journalist, Hani Motoko, invented a system called kakeibo. The word translates to household financial ledger. It is not an app, it is not a spreadsheet. It is a physical book and a pen, a philosophy that forces you to look directly at your spending, not at the end of the month when the damage is done, but every single day while the memory is still fresh. Japanese households using kakeibo have been documented saving up to 35% of a modest income, not by earning more, by wasting less, by patching the holes. This is what kakeibo teaches, and it starts with understanding why the holes exist in the first place. Money has become invisible. You tap your card, you click Buy Now, you use your phone to pay for coffee without ever opening your wallet. You never see the money leave your hand. You never feel the loss. This is called frictionless spending, and corporations have spent billions perfecting it. They want you to spend without thinking. They need you to spend without thinking. There is a well-documented psychological phenomenon called the pain of paying. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers the loss. You feel it. That feeling creates a pause. It makes you slow down and ask whether the purchase is worth it. But when you tap a card, that pain is numbed. The transaction is invisible. The damage is invisible, and it stays invisible until the end of the month when the statement arrives and the reckoning begins. By then, it is too late. The decisions have already been made. Kakeibo is the deliberate reintroduction of that friction. When you write down every single expense by hand, not log it in an app, not glance at a dashboard, but physically put pen to paper, something shifts. You are forced to slow down. You are forced to confront the number. Writing latte, $6.50 in a notebook, is a completely different experience from a tap and a beep. You feel the weight of the decision. You remember making it. And slowly, that memory becomes your teacher. You stop spending numbers on a screen. You start spending your life energy. And that changes everything. Here is how kakeibo works. At the beginning of every month, you sit down with your notebook and you answer 4 questions. How much money do I have available? How much would I like to save? How much must I spend on fixed necessities? And finally, how can I improve from last month? That last question is the one most people never ask. It is also the most important one. Notice what you are not doing. You are not checking your balance to see what is left over. You are starting with intention. You decide how much to save first. You remove it immediately. What remains is your actual spending budget. Income minus savings equals spending money, not the other way around. Most people do this completely backwards. They spend first and save whatever is left. What is left is usually nothing. Kakeibo flips the equation. You pay yourself first. If you earn $3,000 and you want to save $500, that $500 is gone before the month begins. Now you have to survive on $2,500. This creates what kakeibo calls artificial scarcity, and artificial scarcity is one of the most powerful financial tools that exists. When you have less money available, you become creative. You stop treating wants like needs. You prioritize. Your bank balance is a lie. It includes rent money, bill money, emergency money. Your kakeibo budget is the truth, and you learn to live inside the truth. Every expense then goes into one of four categories. The first is survival: rent, food, utilities, transport, medicine. These are non-negotiable. You cannot cut them to zero, but you can almost always optimize them. You were probably paying for something in this category that you forgot about months ago. The second category is optional spending: dining out, shopping, drinks, subscriptions. This is where the battle is won or lost. This is the leak. This is where the money goes when you are not paying attention, and attention is exactly what kakeibo forces you to pay. The third category is culture: books, courses, museums, films, anything that enriches your mind. Kakeibo does not treat this as waste. Spending money to grow is an investment, not a luxury, but it still gets tracked. Awareness does not make exceptions. The fourth category is the unexpected: repairs, gifts, emergencies, the things you convinced yourself would not happen this month. Over time, you will discover that the unexpected is actually completely predictable. You will see the same patterns appearing month after month, and you will learn to budget for them instead of being ambushed by them. Every evening, not every week, not once a month, every single evening, you sit down for 3 minutes. You take your receipts, you write them into the categories. You do not let the memory fade. You do not do a weekend audit and try to reconstruct what you spent on Thursday. You do it daily, while the choice is still recent, while you can still feel it. Most people treat their finances the way they treat a medical problem. They only deal with it when something has gone critically wrong. That is an autopsy. The patient is already dead. Kakeibo is a daily checkup. It keeps the patient alive. For optional spending, fun, food, shopping, Kakeibo recommends cash. At the start of every month, you withdraw the exact amount you have budgeted for wants. You put it in an envelope. When you go out, you take cash from the envelope. When the envelope is empty, the spending stops. There is no overdraft. There is no credit card waiting in your pocket. The physical limit is absolute. This sounds almost too simple. It is, but it is also ruthlessly effective. When you watch a stack of bills grow thinner across the weeks, you develop a visceral relationship with time. You can feel the month running out. You start to pace yourself. You stop treating the first week like a celebration and the last week like a punishment. You cannot cheat an envelope. An empty envelope cannot buy a beer. In a digital world, you can use a separate debit card loaded with a fixed monthly amount, but physical cash is still superior for rewiring the brain. Seeing the bills get thinner gives you something no balance on a screen can: the feeling of time passing and money becoming finite. Kakeibo also addresses one of the deepest traps in modern spending. You see something, you want it, you buy it. The entire e-commerce industry is built on that 3-second window. Kakeibo closes it. When you encounter something you want that is not a survival need, you do not buy it. You write it in a wish list section of your notebook. You let it sit for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, you look at the list again. In the vast majority of cases, the desire has passed completely. You look at the item and wonder why you ever needed it. The urge was not a genuine need. It was boredom. It was stress. It was a low moment dressed up as a purchase decision. Shopping is often a way to self-medicate anxiety. When you delay the purchase, you're forced to sit with the discomfort rather than covering it with a transaction. That's harder in the moment. It's far more profitable over a lifetime. If, after 30 days, you still want the item with the same intensity, buy it. That's a purchase made with intention. You will feel differently about it. You will take care of it. You will not grow tired of it in 2 weeks. And over time, you will buy far fewer things because you have broken the loop between feeling and spending. There's a Japanese concept connected to kakeibo called motenai, the regret over waste, and its counterpart, monozuki, a deep respect for materials and craftsmanship. When you practice kakeibo, you begin to love what you already have. Before you buy new shoes, you polish the ones you own. Before you replace your phone, you clean it, delete what you don't need, and realize it works perfectly well. By maintaining what you have, you extend its life, and you erode your desire for newness. The consumer economy depends entirely on your dissatisfaction with what you already own. Kakeibo teaches you to find satisfaction in maintenance. Repairing a shirt is an act of rebellion against that system. It saves money, but more than that, it makes you the master of your material world instead of a servant to it. At the end of every month, you practice what the Japanese call hansei, reflection. You don't just close the book, you open it to the beginning. You compare what you intended against what actually happened. You ask the hard questions without self-cruelty. Where did I fail this month? What triggered the overspending? Was it a stressful week at work? Was I lonely on Sunday evenings? Was there a pattern? You're not punishing yourself. You're collecting data about your own behavior. You're acting as a scientist studying your own habits. And once you have the data, you can build real defenses. When you're stressed, instead of a $50 takeout order, you take a walk. When you're bored, instead of opening a shopping app, you call someone. The financial behavior changes because the emotional trigger has finally been identified and addressed. This is Kaizen, continuous improvement, small adjustments compounded over months. By the end of the first year, you've patched dozens of holes. The bucket holds water, and instead of watching your money disappear, you watch it accumulate. Here's the secret that wealthy people understand, and almost nobody else does. Wealth is not an income level, it's a gap. The gap between what you earn and what you spend. A person earning $200,000 a year and spending every cent of it has zero wealth. If they lose their job, they're destitute in 30 days. A person earning $50,000 and saving $20,000 a year is genuinely free. They own their time, and time is the only thing money can actually buy that matters. Every dollar you save is not money you're denying yourself, it's freedom you are purchasing. When you save $1,000, you have hired 1,000 small workers who will grow and invest and eventually buy you a day where you don't have to work, then another day, then a week, then a year. The kakeibo practitioner doesn't see savings as money they can't touch. They see it as freedom they have already claimed. Your spending is a mirror. Look into it honestly, and you will see your real values, not the ones you say you have, but the ones you actually live by. If you say family is your priority, but your ledger shows nothing spent on family and hundreds spent on things you barely remember buying, the ledger is telling you the truth. It's a harder truth than you're used to hearing, but it's the only truth that can change anything. Pick up a notebook. Start tonight. Write down every cent you spend for the next 7 days. Circle the wants in red. Add them up. You'll be surprised. You may be shocked. That feeling, that slight sense of discomfort when the number appears, is the beginning of something real. The path to financial freedom doesn't start with a raise or a lottery ticket or a better job. It starts with a pen, a notebook, and the decision to finally stop looking away. You checked your bank account at the start of this month feeling a quiet flicker of hope. Now you know exactly why that hope kept disappearing, and you know exactly what to do to make it stay.